All right, Glenn here, and I am here with Charlie Jenny with Freedom Point Mortgage once again. And Charlie, today we're going to talk about the current market and how important it is to have a realtor and a mortgage professional who are really kind of communicating and working together along with the buyer. Why don't you kind of speak to that a little bit and how important that is right now in today's market?
Yeah, so since 2020, to describe the real estate market in Kentuckiana as volatile, I think would be an understatement. I mean, we've seen tremendous peaks and very low valleys. We've seen houses sit. We've seen houses have multiple offers. And in a lot of occasions, that may vary from zip code to zip code or even month by month. So for
price point to price point.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, put anything in there that you want that changes that equation, and you could see big changes from one to the other. So we, as people who are in real estate, often do is we forget that the average American or the average buyer is not keeping up with all these things. They may not know what their house is worth or what price points are doing right now.
Or maybe they are. Maybe they're hearing snippets on the news here and there. Maybe they're seeing headlines.
Consuming headlines.
About, the sky is falling, the market's crashing, prices are going down, when the really important thing to remember is real estate is very, very local.
Absolutely. And in our area, even down to streets and neighborhoods.
Absolutely. For instance, I listed a property in Shepherdsville, Kentucky a couple of weeks ago. 185 price point. It's a home that needs some work. Didn't expect it, but we had multiple offers. 4 offers over the first weekend.
And that's what, it's the first week of May here in beautiful Kentuckiana, and we're seeing houses get multiple offers, not just houses in sub 200s, but we've had some properties, new constructions, that have gotten 3 or 4 offers in an evening.
So. Absolutely. There was a home I showed last week that was in the $750,000 price range, and it had multiple offers in the first 48 hours. So the market is still moving. People are buying, people are selling. There may not be quite as much activity going on because there are fewer homes available, and there are fewer buyers in the market because of the interest rates. But that number is kind of, that it's still in favor of the seller at this point, and homes are still selling.
And the reason for this video, and if you're watching this now, everything that we just talked about the volatility and multiple offers, it's not to scare you or to frighten you. It's the real reason for this video is you have to be prepared. You have to have a realtor that knows what they're doing, that has experience in the price point and the area that you're buying. And then the flip side of that coin is you have to have your financing in order, because if you see a house today, if you call Glenn and Glenn goes and shows you a house and you're like, we love it, we think we want to put an offer in, and Glenn gives you the old, well, it's got 2, so you better get your best and final ready, and you haven't talked to a mortgage professional, then you're wasting time and potentially going to lose a deal.
Right. That's so critical, really, for before you even go out and start looking for a home. Get connected with your realtor. Let your realtor get you connected with a lender so you can start working on that process. And maybe even there are certain times where you can submit a file for a to be determined and go ahead and get the underwriting.
A commitment, a commitment to lend. And we do that frequently with people that want to kind of go above and beyond for a pre-approval letter. They want a full pre-approval. So we'll get all your documentation. The only thing we're missing is a purchase contract, and submit you to an underwriter and to a lender, get completely underwritten. And now you're not just pre-approved, you're approved. So you get like a super pre-approval letter. So all we need at that point is a purchase contract, homeowner's insurance and title work, and an appraisal. And we're done.
Absolutely. That can mean everything in the world to a seller when maybe they're looking at 2 or 3 offers, and they're all great offers, and they have what they want as far as purchase price, and maybe you're not able to go up and over and above that purchase price. But what you can do is walk in and say, hey, we're solid, we're prepared. We're ready to go,
we're prepared,
and there's little to no risk involved here in accepting our offer.
And those are little things that you can do to make sure that you get that house. And the other thing, and Glenn kind of said, reach out to a realtor, get everything in order. We have seen in the last, and not just us, but the mortgage industry in general, the last 12 months, people have started reaching out to us first because they want to see, they've consumed the headlines, they've heard about the interest rates, they've heard about the costs. They want to see, what can I afford? Before I go get a realtor involved, before I get my hopes up, what loan programs do I qualify for? What can I afford? What do I want to afford? What does that payment look like?
And that's the most important question there is, what do you want to afford? In
2023, that is the biggest thing is I can show people all the live long day, you're pre-approved for X amount of dollars, and they have no interest in making that payment. So then we have to tailor make that search. But that's one of the things that we do is we're gonna build programs for you to show you, different loan programs, different down payment options, how to affect that monthly payment. We need to go lower. We need to put some more money down, less money down, everything from government programs, FHA, USDA, to we now have down payment assistance programs as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. So maybe you're a first-time borrower who doesn't have a whole lot of money saved up and who wants to purchase a home. So talk about that down payment assistance.
Yeah. So traditionally, the down payment assistance in our area was USDA or rural housing. Rural housing is a great program. It's a government loan, so it does have some criteria. Number one, it has an income limit. Number two, the property has to be in a rural area. So if you're in Southern Indiana, that means no New Albany, no Jeffersonville, no Clarksville. Our down payment assistance program is a government loan as well. It's FHA based, but it has a first mortgage and a second mortgage. So instead of you bringing a typical 3.5% down for an FHA loan, you're gonna get a first mortgage and then a second mortgage to cover your down payment. So the goal is you sign and drive, so to speak. You show up to closing, you don't bring any money, you get to keep your money in your bank account and get into that home for no money down.
Now, what's the downside to a program like that? Is there are there higher closing costs? Is it a higher interest rate? What do people need to kind of look at?
Yeah, so just like any other loan program, it varies case by case. So the good is there's no income limit and there's no requirements for the property itself. As long as the home is eligible for FHA, you can buy it. As long as you, the borrower, fit from a debt to income standpoint, you can buy it. The rates can be slightly higher. Again, it just depends on your credit score. Minimum credit score for that program is going to be about 660. But yeah, those are things that we calculate. We're going to show it to you. We're going to break down everything in a program called a total cost analysis to show you, every penny of your closing costs, what factors in that, your monthly payment, what factors in that. That way you're the most educated buyer that you can be.
And what he's saying right now is what you should be getting from a mortgage professional. It should not be name your national WeDoMortgages.com where you're plugging your information in there, they're sending you a letter, and you really have no further information.
And that's a great point. And I wasn't going to speak on that, but there are a lot of people that will contact us for their second pre-approval and third pre-approval, and you should be shopping. And I will ask them questions like, well, what's your cash to close look like? We don't know. They just gave us a pre-approval.
Right.
What's your monthly payment? Well, they said it was going to be about. That's not a pre-approval because it may be on their end, but it's for sure not on yours as the buyer because you may not be comfortable with any of those numbers. You may not be comfortable with the monthly payment, the cash to close, the closing costs, the interest rate. If you don't have a fee sheet and a breakdown of your monthly expenditures and how your cash to close is calculated, you need to get a second opinion or a third opinion.
And not to just toot your horn, but that's one of the reasons I like to work with Charlie and why I like to work with Freedom Point, because I know they're going to consult with the potential buyer. They're going to dig into all of that and figure out what is the best situation for this particular person. And sometimes the answer to that is maybe it's best to wait a year or two.
Yeah, or credit repair, or save some more money, or focus on this and develop a strategy. But and to your point, the reason that we do that is we feel, and I feel for sure, that this is not a market where you can have deals fall through. So if you're entrusting a client of yours to us, we're going to ensure that you're not wasting your time showing them $400,000 houses for a week and then eventually they figure out, oh, I only want to afford 300,000, you're going to be very upset because
everyone's going to be upset.
The buyers are going to be upset that they thought they could afford more or wanted to afford more, and you're going to be upset you wasted a week. So we do all of our work up front. We're going to get all those docs from the buyers and build that total cost analysis, consult with them, and ensure that they're comfortable.
Yeah, so and if you're going to a lender and they're not doing that work up front, that should be a bit of a red flag to you. It may make you happy because it's really quick and simple and I didn't have to give them any information. Well, guess what? You're going to have to give that information at some point.
Yeah, my mentality has always been, when you have time, when we're not in contract, when you haven't found that perfect property yet, let's get all that stuff now, because there's no clock on it, right? We're not under the gun, we're not in contract, we're not wasting lock days or closing days. So let's do it all now. So when you do get into contract and when the to-do list really starts, like inspections and appraisals and moving and closing, you've already done all the lending part of it. Right. You've already given me the documents. So
yeah, there's one thing that we don't like as realtors, and that's surprises.
Nobody likes surprises. Not in real estate.
Not when you're under contract.
Because they're never good surprises in real estate. They're never like, oh, we found another floor on top of your house. It's always like, oh, well, we found out there's something terrible.
The only real good surprises would be, oh, we're clear to close in 15 days. That's a good surprise.
That's a good surprise. Or my cash to close is considerably less than anticipated. Those are good surprises. But yeah, so that's why we get all those documents up front, and that's why we do it the way we do, because the market really demands it right now.
The market does demand it. It's a different market. It really is.
It is, and it's volatile, and it's ever changing, and it varies week by week and month by month. And there is I've talked about this a lot, even in different industries before I was in mortgages. Our area is very seasonal. It's Derby week and everything slows down on Derby week. And then a week or two later, it's graduation and spring break and everything slows down.
Although I am glad you mentioned Derby, because that's a point that I wanted to make. If you are in the market to buy a home, sometimes Derby week, and especially Oaks and Derby Day, can be fantastic times to find a home and write an offer, because guess what?
There's not many people out.
Right. If you've got a realtor who is there and ready and working and showing homes on
not at the track.
Oaks and Derby Day, not at the track, you got a leg up on some other buyers.
100%. But that little things like that, having an agent that understands our market, because it, like you said, the real estate market in our area is so small. It's a big market. There's a lot of transactions. There's a lot of money, but it varies so quickly, and it's really kind of that small microcosm of our area. So,
absolutely, Charlie. Is there anything else that you want to touch on about today's market? Just kind of what's going on right now and what people need to be prepared for or look out for?
I always tell people kind of the do's and don'ts of, if you're thinking about purchasing a home. Number one, call a mortgage professional and a realtor in either one of those orders, one or the other, preferably both at the same time. Number two, don't open any new lines of credit. Don't move money around from one account to the other. Make sure you're paying your bills on time, all that good stuff. Those are kind of the do's and don'ts. It should go without saying, don't buy a car. Don't buy a car right before you go buy a house. I don't know why that's a thing, but it is. But those are little tidbits, and I always end every conversation with, if you're thinking about getting into the market and buying a home, if you do those things, that will help a lot.
Yes, and make sure your mortgage professional and your realtor are communicating. That is, I can't describe how important that is.
It is critically important, because if there is a disconnect from one to the other, or neither are communicating, the person that suffers is the buyer, and that's unacceptable. I've had transactions where we burn through the process and we're done, and I'm calling the borrower. I've tried to call the realtor, hey, we're clear to close. Can't get a hold of the realtor. I call the borrower, we're clear to close. Would you like to close, next Tuesday in 4 days? And she's like, oh, well, the basement flooded and they're pumping stuff out of there and they turned the electric off. I don't want to close. And I look like a jerk trying to put her in a house that doesn't have electric. And then the realtor's like, oh, I forgot to call you and tell you all that. So, communication is everything, and you want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Well, and on the realtor side, if I'm out here showing homes and writing offers for my buyer, and I don't know exactly what their situation is, what their closing costs are, what kind of loan program they're
is the house you're showing them even qualified for the program they want to
Absolutely. That's information we need to know. And sometimes you're writing offers and there's, well, we don't want to close for 60 days or we want to close in 25 days. Well, I better be in communication with the lender and make sure, hey, can we close this file in 25 days? Or, hey, if we don't close for 60 days, what's the rate lock look like?
What does that look like? Absolutely. And those are things that come up a lot. And that's why communication is so crucial. So crucial.
Absolutely. All right, Charlie, if people would like to get a hold of you and are thinking of buying a home or just want to know, hey, where do I stand? What can I qualify for? How do they get a hold of you?
They can visit us at freedompointmortgage.com or they can call me on my cell phone, 502-417-3115.
And as always, to get a hold of me, 502-645-6195, or just comment, send me a message. You can find me.
You're going to tag me in this video too, right?
Absolutely.
Well, then you can find me on this video as well.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a happy Derby week if you are here in the Kentuckiana area, and I assume you are if you're watching this video. So good luck to you.
Bye, everyone.